Hey, Flow City. I just want to say relationships are a gift for each of us in life. I appreciate you, however you came here, however long we've known each other, or maybe we don't know each other yet. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the gift of your time. The most valuable asset we have is time and attention, and we can love what we do with that. I'm just feeling so much love. This is a little bit more of a technical episode. We're going to be diving into NFTs, artificial intelligence, GPT-3, creating art, our purpose, giving things away, automation, and how that affects you. I am not the best at breaking technical concepts down so that a second grader can understand them, but we actually have a tool that helps us with that. GPT-3 is that tool. You can imagine Google, the search engine, more like an advertising engine that understands you better than you understand yourself. If you've heard of what a quantum computer is, it's like taking all the computers on Earth, all the computing power, and merging it into this crazy looking architecture that looks nothing like a standard computer. It looks like a spaceship, really. And it has to be cooled down, really cold. And because of the genius engineers who built this thing, they're able to almost tell the future in a way. They can make predictions. They can create new medicines. On a computer in 2000 would have taken, in 2020, a home computer being capable of taking millions of years to calculate something. Even if you take 10,000 computers and put them together, it's still going to take, let's say, 1 year to do a calculation. On a quantum computer with AI, you can calculate something in a matter of seconds. This is how you can come up with new medicines instantly. This is how you can come up with all sorts of new things that previously were thought to be impossible. You can run simulations, lots of simulations. So as we take this technology of AI, quantum computing, and we merge it with blockchain, you have to get a real estate agent, you have to get a title, you have to get other people involved, a lot of people. And there's a lot of money that it costs to buy a house and to sell a house. There's a lot of people that have to be involved. Cities have to be involved. Just tons of work. If you can imagine all of that work, the legal agreements down to the papers being signed, all of that. Imagine all of those contracts being condensed with code. Like right now, me talking and then me uploading this to the web. That's just software in the background that are creating essentially what like a smart contract, but it's not immutable. Immutable is unalterable. So when I talk about blockchain and smart, intelligent software developers, I'm talking about real people who are creating contracts. So in the real estate example, we take all of these contracts and we condense it down to a piece of code. So each individual that previously was required to execute all of these contracts in a real estate transaction, we can condense it into code. When you merge this with AI, we're talking about society run by algorithms. That means the smart contract executes itself with all of the needed everything. You, the buyer, sign on what's called Web3. So this is blockchain. You sign a transaction. The buyer and seller both sign the transaction, and there wasn't anyone else needed to be involved. It's all happening. This is real. Algorithm is just principles that run automatically, and code that we understand can run over and over again in an efficient manner. So if you take all of that real estate contract, put it into a smart contract on blockchain, and you have the help of an AI, you have these contracts, you condense it down into code. And now what we have is the person who wants to buy the house, the person who wants to sell the house, and they can transact with each other with no one in between. It exists today, and we refer to it as blockchain. And Ethereum is possibly the most safe blockchain that we know of, and it is also finance. Now, the most exciting part about these smart contracts, to me, coming from 10 years of work in animation and 3D design, is what's called a non-fungible token, an NFT. It's a piece of art that cannot be exchanged for something else that's identical to it. It's the only one. So you can create a bunch of these attached to these smart contracts. So like I said, with the real estate example, it's a contract that has a lot of stuff inside of it, but it only requires you and somebody else to sign it. Now, once you sign it, it goes and publishes publicly to everybody. So we know that transaction was valid. So I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, please let me know. Please hit me up on Twitter if that doesn't make sense to you. I'm happy to help you. So as we take this blockchain technology that is visible to the public, every transaction is visible, so we know it's legit, and we take the ability to transact person to person with the merging of art, that's the non-fungible token, that's a smart contract, that's financial art. Imagine art galleries. You have the power as an individual, the same power that an art gallery had before. You can have your own art gallery, and it's a financial paradigm shift that maybe we'll have to dive into a different episode down that rabbit hole. There's lots of rabbit holes to dive down. Artificial intelligence. There's nothing artificial about it, and there's nothing intelligent about it, but we call it that. It's actually just code that software developers are writing that you teach it things, and then it learns, okay, this is what you want. Okay. What GPT-3 and OpenAI have released to the world is a new software that is the equivalent of the release of the iPhone. If you think the release of the iPhone was big, you might not have known about it in 2007, 2008. You might not have gotten your first iPhone until 2013, 2014, when most people got on the bandwagon and saw, oh, this is insane. So we're still early. GPT-3, Open Codex, we're still early on. Open Codex is what was released. It's the equivalent of the iPhone being released because of the power that comes with it. Imagine telling your grandma, hey, grandma, I want you to make a video game. And your grandma's like, I don't know the first thing about video games. How would I make a video game? You sit her down in front of a software program and you say, grandma, I just want you to talk to it. And I want you to tell it, the computer, the software, Open Codex, I want you to tell it to program a video game just in plain English. I just want you to talk to it. This is grandma. So let's say she knows Atari probably. I want to create Pac-Man. So you say, create an image of a little smiley face guy. Now create a maze. The thing that used to take humans a long time to do was write the code. So you train this software, this model, and you're able to actually say, hey, software, take all these previous examples of other people creating video games. Maybe grab the original code from Pac-Man and say, I want to create Pac-Man. I want it to be blue and black and have a yellow smiley face. And one of these weird squiggly things is chasing the smiley face. You get to play this game up to 3 times. Imagine just saying that out loud. Your grandma could literally say that out loud. She could describe Pac-Man. If you describe to Open Codex what I just described, and you did it in a way that was clear enough, you could actually create your own video game in 15 to 20 minutes. That's crazy, but it's possible. So imagine that software was just released, and we take that where we're going with automation, being able to speak words and then watching it come to life. Seriously, software developers, coders are now not just lawyers because of smart contracts, they're artists because they're able to create through code non-fungible tokens, these NFTs. They're also creating the future of finance. So that's why if you've heard the phrase software is eating the world, it's because if you understand how to program, and now if you understand how to speak English, you can talk into the machine, tell the machine what to do, and the machine will create it based on previous examples. It's not perfect, but imagine 3 to 5 years from now when it is perfect and it is as seamless, as flowy as when you open up your iPhone on the iPhone 3 or 4. Remember, you probably didn't have the iPhone 1 or 2. You probably had the 3 or 4. And you pick that up and that experience. Imagine 1 billion or 2 billion people being able to speak into existence what they want to see designed, what they want to create through words or other images. They say, I want to mix this building with that potato. I want a potato building, and I now want to 3D print it, and I want it done in 2 days. That in 2025 is real. Now, what I'm talking about with automating art, architecture, all this stuff, we're bringing this into the metaverse first. So we're actually able to design really fast with software. We're able to design beautiful things. And this stuff isn't new. It's been around for years. But now everyone like you and I are able to have access to it. As long as you have a smartphone, you have access to this. You have access to a quantum computer. If you have a smartphone, you can actually use this stuff. So imagine now these converging technologies of artificial intelligence, blockchain with these contracts that automatically execute, no attorneys and lawyers and all that stuff involved, at least in the metaverse. Maybe in the real world, it's going to take a while. But in the metaverse, everything's being executed on these smart contracts. And then we have these worlds merge, and then we have relationships. What in the world is going to happen to relationships in a spatial environment? What's going to happen to your relationship? How are you going to leverage technology to spend more time in nature, to spend more time with your family, to maybe develop a medicine triggered specifically for your DNA to help just you? All of these things are becoming possible at a very quick rate that we can't comprehend as humans. Like, we cannot comprehend what it's like to think like a hive mind, like a billion people. But Open Codex, or GPT-3, is taking 1 billion inputs and instantaneously giving you an output. That something that could have taken 100 years can now be done in seconds. And just imagine how that's going to affect you. What are you going to do with your free time? What are you going to do when you can get 8 hours of work done in 10 minutes? And you might be saying that's impossible. It's not going to happen. We're headed in that direction, and it's going to change the world. It's going to change your family. It's going to change your relationship. Flow City is at the cusp, the cutting edge of this, mixed with gaming and wellness. And it's what lights me up. If you can't tell, I'm super passionate. It's taken me a lot of time to understand these technical concepts. So now take that concept, go create something with it. Take that new knowledge and go find out what your superpower is. And lastly, I want to ask you a question. What's your first NFT? What's your first piece of art? Is it going to be music? Is it going to be a video of you? How are you going to create an NFT on blockchain using AI? And how can you do it in 10 minutes? How can you go spend 10 minutes to create your first NFT with AI? Well, I'm going to introduce you to what Flow City is about to introduce, which is the ability to mint, to create on blockchain with AI, a piece of art with your purpose. We're ready to release this. I'm so pumped to release this. So flowcity.art is the website. Come check it out. You're going to be able to mint your purpose. You're going to be able to see what it's like to see an AI show you what your life is in its eyes through code. Thank you so much for listening. I know that was a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, but if you stuck in, hope you learned at least one new thing. Thank you for being here. Grateful for you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.